Something that happened late last week and then into this week, the original comments from Bill Belichick to former Patriots offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss on Sirius XM, and then the WEEI remarks where Belichick was grilled about this perception/reality that he's making an excuse for what's going on this year. Let's start with, and are we on the same page that he is making an excuse? Some people are saying, he's just stating facts when he says that this year was set up to be a rough year from a cap standpoint because we sold out to win Super Bowls. For now, threshold issue, do we agree that that constitutes making an excuse for this year?
Mike, I'm offended by his. I'm literally offended that he would say it. So yes, we're on the same page.
Okay. Now, as to the accuracy of the statement, are we on the same page that it is a load of bunk, that there wasn't some sort of selling out the future and mortgaging future caps and pushing money around and knowing that all along 2020 is going to be this reckoning where we may be 2-5 through 7 games?
Yes, we are on the same page there. And I arrive at it in a different way than you do, but we both get to the same eventual point.
Yeah, I thought Ben Volin's article in the Boston Globe was very instructive on the data points that show there wasn't some ridiculous drunken sailor spending by the Patriots in past years. They were below the NFL spending average the last 3 Super Bowl years, Tom. So there was never a sense. We've seen teams over the years, and we know when they are going to have to pay the piper eventually. We know they're going to have a rough year. We know the chickens are going to come home to roost and whatever other cliche we want to use. That was never the sense with the Patriots. Never the sense. Not that it was a cap issue. A talent issue, but not a cap issue.
The way I arrived at it, Mike, was to look at it this way. The Patriots pushed away from the table on homegrown talent that they should have or could have had to pay. Chandler Jones, Dante Hightower, Malcolm Butler, and Jamie Collins. All of them, except for Hightower, went out the door. Patriots made good moves in doing that. Other teams paid a high price for those guys and wasn't proven that they were going to be the missing pieces in those places. Did the same thing with Trey Flowers. So they've sidestepped contract after big contract. Who have they brought in terms of big free agents? One, Stephon Gilmore. They sidestepped for 2 decades paying Tom Brady at anything resembling close to market value. He hasn't had a $14 million hit on a cap, Mike, until 2018. So for Bill Belichick to act as if he's got cap constraints, and really I take it as rock kicking over Brady's $14 million in dead money. Well, we got that. We also have Antonio Brown, which idiot reporters in New England were telling you don't do it before you did it. Same thing with Michael Bennett. What do you want him? He's dead money. So you get $25 million worth of dead money between those 3 guys in March. And now you're going to complain. You have the gall to complain about Tom Brady's dead money after he gave you 20 years of good fortune against the cap. It's crap. It's 4 years of second-round picks spent on Cyrus Jones and Jordan Richards and Joejuan Williams and Kyle Duggar and
Mohamed Sanu.
Duke Dawson, and on Mohamed Sanu. It's really, really, really poor roster management. And it gets back to Brady covering things up for him.
Okay, now, let me ask you this before we pivot to AB and Tom Brady together again in Tampa. I had been told for years that the Patriot way consists of never making excuses under any set of circumstances, typically in the context of injuries. You got an injury, no excuse. Next man up, and the next man up is expected to perform at the level of the guy he's replacing. We're not going to get long in the mouth. We're not going to say, oh, woe is us. We're not going to say it's not our year. And that applies to everything. There's never an excuse. What stuns me the most about Bill Belichick making excuses is that the locker room's going to hear this, Tom. And there are going to be guys in there that are thinking, hey, well, that's not our year, right? Bill said so. And they're not going to suck it up, and they're not going to go out there and try to find a way to scratch and claw and maybe steal a 7 seed and get hot in January. He's giving them license to say, hey, it's a crazy upside-down pandemic year, and it's a cap situation, and we'll worry about 2021 for football. For now, let's just get through the season. Do you agree with that?
Mike, think about this. When you indicate that you were all in, and pushed your cards into the middle of the table in the other years, what does that say about this year? What does that tell your coaching staff about this year? If they're sitting there until midnight every night getting ready for a game in which they know they're out there with a cap gun, we're not all in this year? So does that mean we can leave early? Does that mean these players don't have to go through? So when we were all in last year, but not now, so the players can go home to their families instead of living in the hotel so that they don't bring COVID home? I mean, it is, again, he's 68 years old, the most accomplished coach in perhaps American professional sport history, certainly the NFL. But it just shows you how unbelievably unfamiliar the territory is for him to be 2-5 and having to explain things. And I think football coaches in general, but football coaches are hardwired to find excuses, make excuses, and whine. And some of the excuses that Bill's making do hold some water. He's got eight opt-outs to COVID.
But you don't make excuses. You don't make excuses in New England. That's what's stunning to me, Tom.
Same.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.